Hey guys, Scott here with some very exciting information. We finally have the announcement for the next DBD killer. Halloween is... I can't go on this joke longer. Obviously, this is not going to be DBD killer. Not even close. The development teams behind this game, it's absolutely doomed to fail. And I wanted to rant about them a little bit. So, we have the next project from the wonderful minds behind such amazing games as Predator Hunting Grounds, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Totally not abandoned games. This is not going to go well. The development teams between Ilphonic and Gun Media have terrible, terrible reputations, especially with this genre. Frankly, I don't know how the hell these guys keep getting licenses to games that die within a month. I don't understand how this is happening. To be fair with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it lasted longer than that, but then they themselves abandoned the game after like a year. So even in the one scenario where the game didn't immediately die, then the developers are like, oh shit, we're used to our games just dying, but now it's still alive. Like, fuck, what do we do? We can give them $10 skins. Fuck it. It's just like, let's just abandon it. I also want to talk about Friday the 13th too, because I really believe, based on how I've seen Gun act before, I really think that the excuse they have about the licensing is just that, an excuse. I think it was a wonderfully, perfectly timed excuse to where they could abandon the game and not get shit for abandoning the game and just blame it on the licensing. Because if you look at the actual Steam charts, the game's population was declining long before there were any legal ramifications to anything that they were doing, long before that. So this game was not nearly as popular as people actually thought it was. It was just had a couple of very funny videos on YouTube, and for like a month it had like a lot of popularity just due to just silly content creators grouping up together and having an overall good time. But the actual health of the game itself, it very quickly nosedived and it never recovered. And then people like to say, oh, it's just because of the licensing issues, but that didn't happen until months later. It was already going down to like 1,000 average players on Steam, which is by no means a dead game, but it's also not a very popular game at that point either. So it was going down. I just think the licensing thing was an excuse. And normally I wouldn't say that. I would give them the benefit of the doubt. But based on how I've seen Gun Media treat their customers, they suck. They fucking suck as a company. Their community members, like the PR people, they're terrible. I think we remember last year, I don't remember who it was, it doesn't matter anymore, but they were just like arguing with people on Reddit, just not even like in a respectful way. Like you see how the DBD devs talk on Reddit, they're still respectful even if they disagree. The Texas Chainsaw devs were arguing like they were Redditors anonymously. It was just so embarrassing. They abandoned the game. They just fucking suck. I believe that they are producing the game, not actually like creating it. So I'm not really sure whose involvement is where here. But the only other company involved there would be Ilphonic. And unfortunately, although they seem to have better intentions and they have not abandoned their games, they also just release games that die almost instantly. Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Predator Hunting Grounds have, anywhere from 20 to 90 players. They're effectively dead. You pretty much cannot play them anymore. And that happened very quickly too. So even if we didn't have Gun Media, they actually just suck as a company, even if we didn't have them, we still have two maybe more well-intentioned companies that are just unfortunately not very good at making games. So there is absolutely no chance that this game is actually going to succeed. So let's actually just take a look at its Steam page here, in case you want to get that pre-order coming in right now. So it is an asymmetrical horror game. I don't even need to read the description to know that's what it is, because that's all these guys make. They just make the same type of game over and over again. Basically going to be like Friday the 13th, except Michael Myers instead of Jason. So look, I'm not going to pretend that Friday the 13th and even Texas Chainsaw Massacre weren't fun for a little while. They genuinely were. For like a couple of weeks, I definitely had fun playing that game with my friends. It's just after that, you very quickly start to see the cracks form. And it's due to the design philosophy of the developers. They have gone on record saying they're not really interested in making a balanced, competitive game or anything like that. They just want to evoke the feeling of the actual movie or property that the thing is from, which at first sounds like a respectable mindset to have, but then when you look at it from an actual game design standpoint, it's fucking stupid. You have to acknowledge that players are going to realize they are not actually victims on Haddonfield and there's a serial killer chasing them. There are people in their underwear playing games on a computer. You need to treat it like it's a video game. Their problem was they didn't do that. They assumed everyone would play as if they themselves were in the scenario, and once that facade very quickly fell away, the game just completely falls apart and doesn't work anymore. So they have this completely busted, although well-intentioned philosophy that is basically doomed to make a game fail. Additionally, in all of their games, they have ways to like damage or hurt the killer, which every time an asim has this, it always fails. I actually firmly believe the ability to damage the killer in meaningful ways is the main determining factor of whether or not the game ends up dying. It is the only consistent thing in all of these where the game dies. It just seems like DBD does it correctly where the most you can do is just stun them for a couple of seconds, but you can't really harm them in any way. Every time you have an option where the survivors can harm the killer, you just get the killer getting the shit kicked out of them, and then they get miserable, and then there's no one to go against, and then the game dies. It happens over and over and over again. Happened with VHS, happened with Friday the 13th, happened with Texas Chainsaw. God, playing killer in Texas Chainsaw was fucking miserable. That game so very quickly. Now, granted, I only played for like a month when there was insanely busted shit like refilling your stamina bar for free multiple times. Oh my God. You can get stunned by a door for 20 seconds. It was absurd. It was miserable playing killer in that game. But that tends to be what happens when you allow the killer to be damaged in a certain way. For whatever reason, due to a butterfly effect of shit, the game just ends up dying. And so, yet again, this is going to be a game where you can harm Michael, and it's just going to have the exact same thing. But it is an asymmetrical horror sandbox. There is a single-player mode in it, which is pretty cool, and I think if they want to keep that philosophy they have for making games there, that's totally fine. In single-player, that's not a big deal at all. But as soon as you make this an online game, you need to drop that facade and realize people are going to play it like a game, not like they're immersed in the story and they're immersed in the world. That's just unfortunately how you have to actually do it. But based on the description, it just kind of sounds like it's going to be Friday the 13th, and then on the other side, it's just going to be the exact same thing, except we're now actually down to straight up DBD 1v4. Friday the 13th, you can have more players. And I'm not really sure what effect that's going to have on the actual balance of the game. And just as an absolute slapper, kneecapper, it's on Unreal Engine 5 just to ensure it also runs like shit. So overall, yeah, I'm not really super positive about this game at all. And this may come across as like, I don't know, elitist or something. But for a 2025 game, I don't think this looks that good. This looks slightly better than DBD's Haddonfield. Honestly, it really doesn't look that much different at all. I think I actually like the street lamps on DBD's map more. Maybe the foliage is a bit better, but for a 2025 game, this does not look very good. Hell, Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually looked way better than this. So, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really look great, just even aesthetically. So I don't know, man. Obviously this game is going to fail. Like I don't even have to like speculate about it based on the developers. They haven't made a successful thing yet in terms of a game lasting. So I don't know. This is obviously not the DBD killer. I really, really don't like Gun Media. I think, well, Ilphonic is unfortunately just simply not good at making games. They're at least well-intentioned. Gun Media, they just fucking suck. I specifically dislike them as a company, and I wish bad things for their company. I don't think they deserve to succeed based on the way I've seen them treat their gaming communities, based on the way I've seen their PR people treat people on Reddit and social media. They are just shitty at their jobs, in my opinion. So I don't think they deserve any success whatsoever. I do think we deserve a DBD killer, and like I said, that's the only way Dead by Daylight is ever going to actually improve. But this is not going to be it. This will be played for people for a couple of weeks. They'll go, haha, this was fun. What's next? The developers will just go, I don't know. Hey, you guys like The Thing? That's a new IP. How about The Thing? Oh my God, let's make a video